It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyrone Lowe. The show is called The Legends. I want to thank everybody all over the world that actually subscribes and show me love. And I'm giving back to you guys because without you guys, there would be no legends. In the house of the legends. Now, I've known this lady for maybe over 10 years. You know, we've crossed, and now she's here. So in the house of the legends, I give you Regina Hall. Hey, Regina, what's going on?
Hi, Tyrone.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, and then I'm loving to being here and doing what you're doing. It's great. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, it's funny how you meet people and you cross them, and then you get to know them, and then all of a sudden, they're right here. So let's talk about a little bit about you. You know, because let's tell the viewers where you're based from and a little bit about Regina.
Well, of course, my name is Regina Hall. I am from Brooklyn. I'm a native New Yorker. I live in Virginia now. I've lived all over the world, military-wise. I was married to a military man one time or another. I lived in Germany a total of 10 years.
Okay.
So I've crossed different paths of the world. And now, you know, as far as me residing in Virginia, I've done so many things in the industry. I've been in the industry ever since I was 16. How it all started was a good friend of mine. She's like my sister, Gloria Stewart. She's a songwriter, also vocally, music. I've been seeing so many different things in the world, but I started off, you know, dealing with that, being in the studios day after day, night after night, and then eventually I started managing different groups and helping out with different things, including the group Full Force, but also Gloria Stewart, the songwriter, and other celebrities that I've encountered through the years, Prince, Guy, Teddy Riley. I can name a few, but I've encountered a lot of different people.
So through this whole journey of actually meeting these people, how did you feel just to be around those type of elite of artists?
I mean, it was great, but you know, being around those, it was just like being around normal people.
Okay.
It was never a celebrity-like type of feeling. It was just more like family, you know?
Okay.
You know, behind the scenes, it was, you know, when they're doing their shows, of course it gets exciting. You
Right,
out there,
right.
you know, doing what everybody else is doing. But other than that, it was just a normal type of feeling.
You know, actually just being there. You
Yes.
know, that's like an advantage to a lot of people.
Yes.
Just saying, wow, I wish I could be there.
Oh, yeah. I
You
mean,
know.
it was like that, but it wasn't, for me, no. I mean, and just being in a music background family as well, you know. It wasn't never like that for me. I'm also related, you know, cousin-wise to JT from Kool and the Gang.
Right,
I
okay.
mean, it's some history going down. I'm a music-inclined family, you know.
That's pretty cool. And so through that whole journey, what have you learned? I mean, the levels, like the fundamentals of the business and things of that nature, did you adopt to all of that through that journey? You know, just being around them and actually, you know, showing interest and learning at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. I showed interest in a lot of things as far as managing, even music and listening to different artists singing in the studio, the notes, you know, when they're singing, I'm like, oh, that didn't sound right, you know. I think
that.
you need to go back in,
Yeah.
you know. And some of them that weren't really capable or thinking that they weren't capable, let me just take that back, thinking that they weren't capable of doing certain things. I'm like, no, you have it in you, you know.
Okay.
I've even met certain people that felt like they weren't even songwriters, and I'm like, no, you're a writer. And till this day, you know, it's a gentleman now, you know, he was basically like my little brother, you
Right.
know. He didn't feel like his name is Jamal Smith. You know, he was in Teddy's studio and he wrote for Deborah Cox. He wrote for so many people, and I've known him ever since he was 19, and
That's
now he's in
incredible.
his 40s, and he was doing a lot of different things, and he didn't think that he was a writer, and oh my God.
So how was that the reaction, to you to actually say to him, listen, I feel that you should actually switch to this channel?
I would just say, do it.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, don't come out the
And what
room
was
until
their
you finish.
response?
Okay. you know, like, it was like a boss move, you know?
Right.
But yeah.
That's cool. Through all that whole journey, when you look back at it, you say to yourself, what would you, out of that whole journey, what would you want to do again? As if you rewind the tape?
For me,
Is there a special moment or?
I mean, I've had my special moments, but sometimes dealing with celebrity things, it gets exhausting.
Okay.
And I've done it for so many years that I've come to a crossroad in certain things now that I'm ready to do Regina.
Okay.
I wanted to change up some things. I'm not saying that my relationships are not there, and not saying that I can't still help in the industry. I get calls and ask for advice with certain things. I still have my foot in certain things, but I want to more or less work on the things that I missed in my life, and always looking out for others that I wasn't really looking out for myself.
Right.
So I just, with the industry, I mean, I love it. I'm not going to say that I don't still love it,
Right.
But I just wanted to do something different.
Being a consultant is very cool. That's a gift.
Yeah.
If you really look at it, I feel that it becomes habitual. I mean, if I had to do something like that, it'd probably be ongoing. But my question to you is, how do you do that and try to have a balance with your family life too?
Everybody asks me that.
Yeah, I want to know. I mean, that's that's an interesting question.
It's really, Tyrone, I don't think about it. I just do it.
Oh, okay.
I know when time is time because I love family. I love my children.
Right.
I love my grandchildren. I love my cousins and uncles. I mean, I am a family person. I love taking family vacations, and I've even encountered that I have friends that are family,
Okay.
but it's just, in my mind, I'd be like, okay, this is it. It's time for me to do something else, and I'll just do it. So normally, a lot of things ain't planned, but I do plan family trips and things for myself. But I've really never just said, okay, today, it just happens. I live by a calendar, believe that.
Okay.
I truly live by a calendar. Without that calendar,
Because
but,
I do a lot too, and sometimes I feel guilty because I'll get up in the morning and I'm like, I should have been there for my son. I should have been there for my daughter. And I'm blessed with good kids, so they're quite understandable. They don't complain too much. I try to be there to the best of my ability. But sometimes whatever genre of work that you do, and family is very important, man.
It is.
Because when I come home, I want that serenity. I don't want to hear, hey, you were supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. Because I've been through that.
Yes.
And it's not a good feeling.
No, it's not. And we have family chats. Me and my daughters, we have a chat, and then we have a whole chat with everybody in it, and I get what you're saying about missing certain things, and I always have to tell my kids, when their children have something, that's like, I have to have an advance because the way my life is sometimes, I have to let them know, please let me know ahead of time,
Right.
Because you don't like to miss those precious moments.
Right.
Because I do have 2 grandchildren that are graduating this year from
Okay,
college
okay.
and high school,
All right.
so I'm definitely not missing that. And the time that is happening, it's my birthday.
Okay.
But I'm putting things on the back burner.
Right.
But as far as I'm balancing now in the industry situation too, I've also passed the torch to my youngest daughter who's musically inclined.
And she's very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Very beautiful lady.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
stuff.
Thank
I plan
you.
to have her on my show because through the years of following you and them, because I know that y'all used to get online and do a few things and things of that nature, and I seen the common interest and their interests.
Yes.
And it's pretty good that they do it, and I guess they say, well, listen, I'm going to follow mommy because she has a reach, she's out there, and let me do something that's going to actually symbolize me as well. So how do you feel about that?
I love it. I mean, you know, I have a great relationship with my daughters.
Okay.
You know, and one thing I do, you know, especially with the youngest one, you know, with the music stuff, she always, you know, her thing is, I don't want you involved with so many things. I want to be able to do it on my own. You know, it's not who you know, Mom.
Right,
And sometimes
right.
I, you know, I would have to pull.
She wants to be independent.
Yeah, no, she really does. And sometimes I, you know,
How
just
do
let
you
me
feel
just
about
do
that,
it.
though?
I'm okay with it, you know, because
you don't want to
she's.
you don't want to put a hand in there to say.
Tyrone, back then, you know, yeah, I
Okay,
did.
okay.
But now it's a little bit different for me, you know, but I love it because she's making her own circle. She's making her own foundation. All of my children, I mean, they're so popular on their own. You know, I'm just so stunned, you know, with a lot of things. I'm like, look at my babies and look at my grandchildren.
Right.
They're making their own platform, and I'm loving it, you know, and I'm watching them because certain things, I mean, back then when we were doing things, you know, I am up with the new school. I'm
Right.
not stuck, you
Right,
know,
right.
because my
Well,
grandchildren
they
be
bring
like,
you up to speed.
no, that right there, you know,
definitely.
even with technology and all of
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
I've been learning and watching, you know, and people are like, well, how do you know? I'm like, look, I'm not gonna sit here, you know, I'll be 58 this year, you know, and I'll be sitting here
look great.
saying,
You
thank
look
you so
great.
much, you
You look
know. And I
great.
said, no, I'm not gonna be stuck. I wanna learn, you know. But no, for real, they have really done their thing, and I'm feel good about it because they say the token you lead by example,
Right,
you know,
exactly,
and
yeah.
they always tell me that I'm their example, and it makes me feel good, you know, the way they handle themselves with people,
Right.
places, and things, and I just love it.
Well, they say it starts from the home and it takes you abroad.
Yes.
You know, and that's a very important thing. I'm glad that at my point that I have a connection with my children where they can actually say, well, hey, you know, Dad didn't do it, so I'm not going to do it. You see, because the first thing they're going to say when you do something, then you do it, they're going to be like, well, you told me not to do it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm supposed to lead by example in their eyes.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
My question to you is, due to the phase of you doing you right now, when did you actually come to that conclusion, though?
Oh my gosh, it was during, I want to say, COVID.
Okay,
You know, because we were all in a shutdown mode.
most definitely.
You know, and I think even during that time, people didn't even know the relationships that they were in, even when it came to marriage.
Right.
You know, because we were always on an everyday move until until you had to sit with yourself
Right.
and the individual and just dealing with self. You know, you had nowhere to go but to look at the white walls or
Yeah,
look what was
yeah,
on the news
yeah.
or whatever. But we were in a really serious shutdown that no one could really leave their house. So when you're during that time, you were always busy. You didn't have time to really think about anything. It was go to work, come home, do this, do that. You know, I found like the time, like, was I really neglecting my house?
Right,
You
right.
know, I was painting rooms and doing all this. I mean, I wasn't totally neglecting it, but I was
Okay.
really neglecting it. I mean,
Okay.
I had decks built in the back and then me. And I sat with me, even with my book. I always said I wanted to write a book.
Okay.
You know, even in my teens. But when it became reality, like, wow. And then I was even suffering with depression.
Okay.
And didn't even realize that when you hibernate a lot of things in your life,
Right, right.
and you don't really realize of what it really is until you're really sitting with yourself,
Right.
that's when Regina started saying, it's time to deal with myself.
Okay. You know, they say change isn't hard, it's just something different. And contemplating about self is a very important thing, you know. I started writing things down. You know, because I thought I was actually missing voids in my life and things of that
Yes.
nature. And having the show is like therapeutic for me because I learned so much from actually talking to people about their past experience and things of that nature. But we're going to hold that thought and stay tuned. We're going to come right back with Regina Hall and stay tuned.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
We got some fun people in the house tonight. we're back. The show is called The Legends, and we got Regina Hall in the house. But what we're going to talk about, Regina, is she has a new book out, and she's going to talk about it, and she's going to tell you about how she plays a part of it, things of that nature. So, Regina, tell the viewers the name of your book. And
My book is called Pieces of Me. And I give you pieces of me in this book. It's almost like a puzzle base about my life from the beginning to the end. Not totally to the end. I came up with some titles, and I thought I was going to put it in one book, and then God just showed me, like, no, these titles that you have are 5 books. So I have a 5-book series that I'm
incredible.
coming out with. The Pieces of Me is the first one, in which I'll be releasing the second one in May sometime, called Naked. And it's a very unique book cover and book.
That's a unique type of.
Yes. But Pieces of Me was in the beginning of my life. Growing up in New York City and having a mother, that went through some certain things in life, and I had 3 other siblings beside myself. And the book of my life and me carrying and responsibilities that I had, because I was very protective over my mother, but I started at a young age of doing a lot of things in my life.
Adult things.
Yeah.
Responsibilities,
yeah, because I felt like I needed to be there for my mother, and I really didn't have a childhood. I have to really say that, because I had a lot of responsibilities, taking care of my siblings, and things that my siblings didn't do, and they had children, and I had to help with their children.
Right.
So even with that, I had also, I didn't know my biological father, and I talk about it a little bit in my book. I just really found my father at age 54.
Just to hold it, because we was in Maryland with Lou and them. And you told me that day when they was actually at the show, because we came from the hotel, because I drove them to Maryland, and you were there, and you said, Tyrone, you know what? I just met my dad.
Yes.
I remember that so well.
Yes.
How did it feel to actually, well, let's just jump back a little bit as far as your childhood's concerned, the responsibilities of being a child and living an adult life and things of that nature. What was your mindset like?
I was ahead of my time.
Okay.
I was cooking and cleaning.
Right.
I would say I started cooking at 8 years old, deep cleaning and stuff at 10.
Wow.
I was really I really, my mother, she was a working mother,
She had to take care of you guys.
Yeah. And even being, she was being married, I seen a lot of things with that too.
Okay.
So it was just like, I felt like I had to be there for her. I have no regrets. Honestly, I don't, because it made me of who I am today. Some people would have probably been on drugs and drinking, but that wasn't me. I just learned from a lot of things.
You're so blessed to be that way, because growing up like that, you're accessible and vulnerable to a lot of things, because you figure, well, I'm growing up, so I it's okay.
Yes.
But then again, it's not okay, because it affects your adulthood as well.
Yeah, I mean, I realized that, like I said, being alone, that I had a lot of things mentally that, was bothering me. And then, when you being there for other people and you don't feel like nobody's really being there for you, you
feel disengaged.
Yeah, and then I hated the word, you're such a strong woman. I hate that word. I hate that word till this day, because people feel like when you're strong sometimes that you don't have feelings, and I have feelings, and I just felt like a lot of my feelings was override because you're such a strong woman. You're such a strong person. No, I cry. I hurt too. Being strong, mentally maybe with certain things that saying in my mind what I wasn't going to do.
Right.
But I was suffering inside, and I'm still in therapy till this day, And
there's nothing wrong with that.
And I never knew that I was going to come out with my nonprofit, Echoes and Healing. That I had no clue. That wasn't even on the agenda.
Okay.
You know, that just came all of a sudden, you know, because I was always helping people. And I said, you know what? Instead of me always giving of myself, come up with something that I can give back to the community.
Right, right.
And that's exactly what I did, you know.
Looking back on your childhood to your adult and your reflections of who you are today and your bypasses, like alcohol and drugs of that nature, I commend you on that because that could be such a terrifying experience, especially for a child that's growing up
I seen
an
it,
adult life.
you know. I seen a
You
lot
know,
of things.
it's very cunning, baffling, and insidious when people live that type of life because when they become adults, it's really effective. But getting back to the reflection of you and people looking at you as a strong woman, you must have been giving off some type of essence to them, you know, for them to actually say she's a strong woman.
I
you
mean,
know?
I'm a private person,
Right.
you know. I mean, I did harbor a lot of things
Okay.
inside, you know. I was the type, you know how they say you can just like be an actress of like, you know, just you never know,
Right,
you know.
right,
And I
right.
was that person, you know. I didn't confine in too many people, you know. Certain people that I did confine into, but you know, trust is everything, you know.
Okay.
And I lost a lot of trust in certain people
Okay.
that I just, you know, kept it to myself. And that's why it was another thing of having a therapist.
Okay.
Excuse me. And having a therapist, you can talk to them and
Right.
it doesn't go nowhere else but between you and them,
Right,
you know?
right, right.
So that really pushed me, but I was always into therapy.
Okay. How do you
Yeah.
feel today about yourself? Is there a lot of confidence? Are you still believing in yourself on the level of from yesterday, things of that nature, growing up? You know, have you come to a head and a conclusion of Regina Hall just making it? You know.
I do. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna, I'm human. I still have my dark days sometimes, but I also remember where I was and where I am now.
Right, right.
You know, I'm successful. You know, I knew where in the beginning I was in a shelter with my daughter. I mean, now I think I'm okay to a certain degree.
Right, right.
You know, I'm not going to say that I don't still feel sad sometimes because I do.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes, you know, chemically, you know, you can go through those mood swings.
Right.
But my God, you know.
Right, definitely, definitely.
I just
Talk about
stay,
it.
I try to, you know, I stay prayed up with that. But I'm a pastor's kid too, you know.
Right, okay. Okay.
When my mother got remarried, the man in my life, that is my father too, you know. I don't believe in the step and all of that. That's the man that raised me,
Okay.
you know, and I've seen his ups and downs and all. I mean, I've seen it be even before they even became ministers or whatever. But
Okay.
I just know that having therapy, living the life, and praying and putting that all in sync helps. You know, you can't, I feel like when people, even being in the church, feel like they don't need therapy, you
Right.
do.
Yeah.
You do. It helps. It has to pay the
sustainment.
basic. Yes, it
You know,
does. But
we always, even through success, you know, I can say I'm successful in a lot of things. You know, I wear a lot of hats, and but I'm still grasping for air,
that's right.
always.
That's right.
You know, because we talk about the fear, the loneliness, the anger, and the pain, and the pleasure of life.
Yes.
And when somebody presented that to me, I had to write that down.
Yeah.
I had to realize that, listen, you could be successful,
That's right.
but you could still have a lonely heart.
That's for real.
You know, and everybody's smiling and everybody's saying, you know, looking all happy and jovial and things of that nature because, you know, you're Regina Hall.
Yeah.
You know, you got it going on. You got it together.
That's what people. That's what they
Because your
think.
channels are
Tyrone.
like, and your reach is like crazy.
Yeah.
But deep down inside, when you're alone, you
Yeah.
know, that fire just seemed to just dissolve, dissolve, dissolve. Did you read your whole book?
Did I read my book?
Yeah. Did you read your whole book?
My book, you're saying?
Right,
Did
your
I?
book,
Yeah,
yeah.
I read my book.
And what was the conclusion of actually seeing that reflection of you?
I wasn't finished.
You wasn't
You know, and really writing that book and going back and reading it is so funny because like it was a friend of mine's. I mean, she wrote my foreword in my book, and all those years she used to say when we met, the age, she had it wrong. So when you really go back and dig deep,
Right.
you find out the true dates, the true words, the numbers, where you lived at. Like it's just almost like baking a cake and missing that ingredients, and you forgot to add the what do you call it? the baking soda, you know, to make it rise. But yeah, like when I was writing my book, it was unbelievable of what you like. Oh my God.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I read it, you know, and I still read it over and over because to go on to the next segment of the second book, yeah, it goes deep.
What would you say to a person that's actually can identify with you right now as far as your upcoming and your abroad, things of that nature?
What can I say to them? That life is lifing sometimes, but it never stops, and experiences help with wisdom. When you can experience a lot of things in life and to let someone else know that it can be okay. I mean, we're all different in different ways, but it's the mindset.
Right, right.
It's where you want to carry your mind, because the mind is a chemically imbalance, and when you can't, you know, when I think of the when someone is, I'm trying to think of the word, schizophrenia. Let me just say that. People think, oh, were you born with that? I just think that it's a lot of trauma.
Right.
Because people usually get schizophrenia at the end, they'd be diagnosed with bipolar and all of that. But I just think there's a lot of things that was hibernated in the mind with trauma.
Right.
And you don't know how to deal with it, because, you know, as we get older, you know how you go backwards in birth, but sometimes you go backwards in the mind, like, and you can't let go, you know? And I just tell that person that, you know, just, you know, you have to practice and be in therapy mentally, knowing.
Doing it for real.
Yeah, you have to. You have to have a physical of not just reading, but actually physically doing something for yourself mentally.
And I want to thank you so much for being on my show. You know, I wish we could just continue that because
me
it's very
too.
interesting and things of that nature. You guys go out there and get Regina Hall's book. It's called Pieces of Me. I'm sure that through her email and things of that nature that you can actually get it, you know. And thank you.
Thank
because
you,
I've learned so much
Tyrone.
from you. You know?
Thank you.
And this has been another T-Lo Vito production. You guys stay tuned for another episode. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.